Make sure you're solving a problem, because the last thing we need are more e-commerce businesses, selling things that nobody needs.
Welcome to Honest E-commerce, where we're dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running an online business does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. If you're struggling with scaling your sales, Electric Eye is here to help. To apply to work with us, visit electriceye.io/connect to learn more. Now let's get on with the show. Do you want to deliver marketing moments that last a lifetime? Klaviyo is the ultimate marketing platform for e-commerce. With targeted segmentation, email automation, SMS marketing, and more, Klaviyo helps you create your ideal customer experience. See why Klaviyo is trusted by more than 50,000 brands like Living Proof, Solo Stove, and Huckberry. Keep your customers coming back. Get a free trial at klaviyo.com/honest. That's KLAVIYO.com/HONEST. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest E-commerce. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and today we're welcoming to the show an amazing merchant. She's going to share her journey of how she grew her business to over $1 million in revenue without paid ads or email marketing. Today, we're welcoming to the show the founder and CEO of Kinky Curly Yaki, a business empowerment coach, a Shopify expert, and an all-around dope lady, Vivian Kaye. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I got excited about that intro beforehand. And
yeah. Well, if I don't describe myself as an all-around dope lady, who will? Who will?
You know what? Yeah, it's when someone asks you to just give a bio, I'm just going to start giving people ridiculous bios and see if they read it.
Yeah, do it. I dare you.
International worm farmer, and they're like, why is this guy going to talk about e-commerce?
Well, you can sell worms. Everything's a business. So
I met a guy that sold insects on the internet. It was wild, and he was very interesting. I should probably try to look him up and see if he wants to be on the podcast. To be honest,
absolutely.
All right. Well, you don't sell worms. What do you sell?
So what I sell are premium textured hair extensions for Black women.
Okay.
It sort of sounds like what the heck is that? I don't understand what that means. So when you see Black women in popular culture, so we're talking about Oprah or Beyonce or even Serena Williams, a lot of Black women tend to wear protective styles. So those are wigs, those are braids, those are weaves, and only because our hair can be, can be hard to manage. So even if you know any white women with curly hair, or even people, period, with curly hair, you'll notice that they say, oh man, my hair is so hard to manage. It takes me 23 hours to get my curly hair to dry. Well, even more so as Black women. Plus, our hair is not suited to the North American environment. So it tends to get very dry, especially up in the North, because I'm in Toronto. So, when it gets cold, it strips the moisture from our hair. So we tend to wear protective styles. However, in the past, the hair extensions that we would use had a more European look and feel. So when we switched up our hair, we would go to work at our 9 to 5, and Chad and Karen would be asking us, what are you doing with your hair? What's happened with your hair this week? Whereas I created a product that looked like our hair. So it blended with our hair, and it looked natural, and it looks more authentic on us, as opposed to, like say Nicki Minaj, for example, who wears, 32 inches of blonde weave down to her back. Some of us don't want to be don't want to stand out as much, right? So we want to wear hair extensions that look like our hair. But when I went looking for it back in 2012, it was buried underneath these silkier textures. And so I thought to myself, and I was running another business at the time. So I thought to myself, why isn't anyone just selling kinky hair? You know what? I'm just going to take that idea and file it in the back of my head. Then, I was trying to solve my own problem. I was wearing the product that I found after all, a couple of months of research. I found a product that finally suited my needs, and I wore it to a meetup event. And another Black woman pulled me aside and asked me who my hairdresser was and what my regimen was for making my hair look the way it did. And I was like, girl, this is a weave. And that was like when the light bulb went off, because she's like, well, I would buy that. And I thought, well, if I bought it, and she would buy it. There's got to be at least a dozen other women who would buy it too.
That's amazing.
So that's the beginnings of Kinky Curly Yaki.
What was the business you were running before?
I was a wedding decorator.
Oh.
Another thing that I started to solve a problem.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who I see gaps in the market, and I'm like, well, is that a problem that I have, and how can I solve that? And then I just go after it.
I just got that hustler attitude. That's kind of how I ended up here as an entrepreneur. I just always like, well, you know what? I'm smart enough to do this. And then people started giving me money, and I was like, well, this is fun.
That's always fun.
Yeah. All right. So this light bulb goes off at a meetup, which, just a sidebar there, I can't wait for the world to get in a better place, and like in-person meetups can come back.
Oh my gosh, I miss them.
Yeah, the networking capabilities at in-person meetups were just so much fun. We used to do 8 a year in 2 different markets, and now we've been doing them virtual. And while they are impactful, they're just not the same.
No, it's not the same. It really isn't.
Since 2004, Avalara's vision has been to harness the power of cloud technology to help simplify sales tax for businesses of all sizes. Avalara solutions are designed to affordably scale with businesses as they grow over time. Tax compliance is not a revenue-generating activity. So, Avalara's technology is designed to help you manage compliance as efficiently and accurately as possible, so you can reclaim your valuable time and reduce risk in your business. With more than 1,000 signed partner integrations, Avalara likely integrates with the ERP, e-commerce, mobile payment, and point-of-sale systems you use today. Find out how your business can be sales tax ready at avalara.com/honest. That's AVALARA.com/HONEST. Avalara, tax compliance done right. All right, so the light bulb goes off. What are the next steps? And this might be, there might be someone listening now where this is the exact step that they're at. They had the light bulb go off recently, and where did you go with it?
At first I sat on it because I thought I was already running a business, and I thought, man, and plus because I was the customer as well, I knew the demographic very well. I knew the pain points that needed to be solved. I knew what the problem was, but I also saw that this could be a very, I don't want to say, it's a very passionate group of people who want to wear hair extensions. Like, they're really passionate about it. And I had to really think about it. Do I really want to deal with, people who are really passionate about their hair? And I thought, you know what? I already dealt with brides, and brides can be some of the,
most agreeable people, right?
Right. So I thought, well, you know what? If I had success with these brides, I'm going to have success with Black women who are really into their hair. So it took me a minute, but then one day I just woke up and just got started. I bought the domain name. I secured all the social media handles. I just got started, and I literally started I don't know, you guys can't see me, but in my office, and I'm pointing to it right now, there's this Rubbermaid bin, and it's got drawers on it. And that's how I started my business. I started by just buying, I believe it was just 3 lengths. So the hair comes in different lengths. So I had 3 different textures and 3 different lengths. And I literally bought one of each, took pictures of those, posted them up on the website, and said, I have these available. Here's the price, order from me, please. Because I already knew there were people who were ready to buy. It was just a matter of presenting it in a manner that was different from all the other hair extension brands that were out there. And at the time, there were no companies who were just selling kinky textures.
Was this website, was it a Shopify site? What did you build out? What was the first iteration of your online store?
No, the first version was Big Cartel.
I mean, it's an easy way to get started, especially if you're just looking to test the market, test the concept. There are really easy solutions that are almost as turnkey as, as Shopify presents itself as these days.
Right.
There's no wrong way to get started. The right way is to just get started.
That's absolutely it. And you just need to start and make sure that you are talking about the benefits of the product and, how it solves the problem for your target consumer. But if you're just going out there all guns ablaze with a product that nobody asked for, you're gonna have a problem with that. But if you just start where you are with what you have, oh man.
Yeah, the hard part's just going 0 to 1 is just getting it done and getting out of your own way. You literally are the reason your business isn't as big as it could be.
Absolutely.
All right, you got the domain, you got this Big Cartel site, you've got some products, and you've got a good idea that this is a product that people want. just from some kind of, impromptu user research as, how'd you get those first couple sales?
Well, because I was part of the target demographic, because I was trying to solve my own problem, I was already in the Facebook groups and on hair forums trying to solve my own problem and looking for solutions. And so then I already saw that there was an audience. Right. And so being Vivian, so I'm Vivian means lively one. So wherever I go, I just light shit up. Wait, can I swear?
Don't worry. Kurt Elster cussed on the first episode, so we're just going to keep it going.
So everywhere I go, I just light shit up, right? So when I launched the business, what's so funny? People didn't know it was me. And so it launched, it was doing really well because at the time there were no companies just selling kinky textures. And also at the time, there weren't really influencers. There were vloggers or bloggers that you could send products to. So I saw girls that were in the forum that were wearing the hair and I sent it to them and said, can you tell me what you think? And then they turned around and created what we now know as content. They created content with it. And it was interesting because I didn't tell anyone it was me, the product it was selling, everything was going well. But what happened was I got outed. So in these Facebook groups, someone created a fake profile and they went to at the time, I don't know why, I didn't pay for the Whois on my domain name.
Okay.
So all my information was there. And so then they created a fake profile and outed me to these hair groups and saying, you know who this company belongs to? It belongs to Vivian. And, she was in here spying and she was in here, da, da, da. And what they meant for evil, what they meant to, to sort of damage my business actually pushed it forward, because as soon as they found out it was my business, they were like, you mean Vivian, who's been contributing to these forums and, making us laugh and doing all these things? Well, now we're going to support her because now we know who's behind the business.
Awesome. Yeah. I feel like anyone that's operating a business as a facade, it's almost like you're doing yourself a disservice. Like people want to do business with other people.
Exactly.
That's the biggest risk Amazon has, is that it's almost conceived as robotic. So like that you can, if there's a risk to a different business and you can do it better, i.e. being more personable and being an actual human being, you're going to succeed in a competitive space.
Exactly.
Awesome. So you're moving right along. You are finding initial success in these forums and in these Facebook groups, which is still an amazing way to find your first group of customers. I have talked to merchants that's how they got off the ground this day in 2020, the year of the pandemic. You can still find customers in these Facebook groups. Like, this isn't an old tactic.
Oh, even more so because everybody's online now.
Oh yeah.
Everybody.
And then the Facebook groups are built around subcultures, which just give themselves to niches. It's just a great way to just get some initial user research out of your product.
Yeah. Same with Reddit. Reddit's awesome for that too.
Yes, but don't try to sell anything on Reddit. They will
crucify you. They will crucify you.
Yeah,
but it's a good way to do research to see, to find groups of people who would be passionate and ready to spend money on your product.
Yeah, Reddit, they do like to complain. So it's a great way to find problems that maybe you can help solve with your product.
Exactly.
What do all e-commerce stores have in common? That's right, customers. And those customers are going to have questions. Gorgias is the leading e-commerce help desk with over 5,500 customers on Shopify, Magento, and BigCommerce. Their software is built with machine learning to optimize your support system and allow your team to save time and money on repetitive inquiries while still remaining personalized. What it does is take all of your customers' insights and information, brings it into their amazing dashboard so you can solve your customer's problem as quickly as possible. If you want to give Gorgias a try, visit gorgias.grsm.io/honest to get your second month free. That's gorgias.grsm.io/honest. So let's scoot forward a little bit in time. Where would you say was your first kind of, big success or like what was an event in kind of the startup phase of the business where you're like, wow, this is really catching on. This is really fun. This is, I can't wait to grow this.
Well, even in the first year, I did just under $500,000, like just shy, like $465,000 in sales. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow, like this is me doing it half ass. Right. So
were you still wedding planning at that time?
I was still doing wedding decor because I was like, yeah, okay, like there's only, I was just waiting for the bottom to fall out because like, people buying hair online and it's not really, at the time, it wasn't really a thing. People usually go into beauty supply stores to buy their hair extensions. So at the time, 2013, you're not used to buying hair online like that. But here I had, $400,000 in sales and people, I was like, okay, all right, well, this could really be a thing. But then I got interrupted because I got pregnant. I got pregnant in 2013 and then had my son in 2014. So I had to take a little bit of break, but the business was still going. And then, of course, once the baby came into play, I had my wedding business. I have this e-commerce business. I had to make a decision because I thought, well, with, weddings, I have to go out. And if people don't show up, then I have to go show up at 2:00 in the morning with my breasts full of milk and, and all that. And I thought, well, there's this business that's actually doing really well and I'm half-assing it. So what would happen if I put my full ass into it? I could do this at 2:00 in the morning. I could do this while breastfeeding. I could really, really do a really good job at this. So then I shut down the wedding business and then went full time with Kinky Curly Yaki in 2015. And then a year after that, I hit my first million.
I think that that's the way that I think is the safe play for most merchants is it usually starts off as a side hustle and they don't know when they should really go into it. And I would say if it's a side hustle and you're impressed by the numbers that you're doing, they will easily double if it's your main focus.
Absolutely.
Maybe even more.
Absolutely.
All right. So you hit that first million, you're cruising along. This is 2015, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You hit the first million. What we talked about when I introduced you is how did you scale to $1 million without paid ads and without email?
It was all organic. So it was all the work that I'd done in these groups, like in these Facebook groups and in the forums. And again, I was taking advantage of, at the time, vloggers. People with Black women were just jumping onto YouTube and doing tutorials on how to take care of your hair, how to wear protective styles. And I took advantage of that. I've always been one of those people, at least I used to be, because I can't deal with the TikToks and all that right now. But at the time, I was always ready for that new thing that everyone was doing. So the new thing was, what's now known as influencer marketing. So I grew the business organically by sending girls hair and just having them, and I didn't even control them. It was just like, here's some hair, girl, create some content. And that's what they would do.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
I think that's the best way to get started is just to send some sample product and be like, if you enjoy it, the content will be more than enough for what I need from you.
Exactly.
Nobody likes insurance, but everybody should have it. Mistakes do happen. Our partner Rewind can protect your Shopify store with automated backups of your most important data. Rewind should be the first app you install to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, or collaborators gone bad. It's like having your very own magic undo button. Trusted by over 70,000 businesses, from side hustles to the biggest online retailers like Gymshark, Gatorade, and Movement Watches. Best of all, respond to any of their welcome emails and mention Honest E-commerce to get your first month absolutely free. If I didn't tell you to look into TikTok more, I'd be doing you a disservice. It is exploding, and I know some merchants that are finding great success there. And then obviously, this is probably a good time to ask a question now is, as the business grows and the sales grow, now obviously you surpassed $1 million in sales. You've got a team under you now. Like, when did things start becoming other people's responsibilities? When did that trust, it probably wasn't even trust, it's just more of a necessity. It's like, when did you start to grow the team? What was the first hire? How did that look?
Well, it was actually a bit of both. So it was trust and necessity. So this happened. I hired my first employee actually in June of 2016. And it was because I was, once I was in the business full time and I saw what activities were actually giving me a return on investment, which was marketing. Right. So getting these girls the hair and getting them to create content and at the time the algorithm wasn't so crazy on Instagram. Right. So
Yeah.
everyone would see your post. And so then I focused on that. And so in June of 2016, I hired my first employee. And what I had her doing was fulfillment, because that was the one thing that took a lot of time to do. So I hired her and all she did was fulfill the orders. And then my second hire, which was about, I want to say 3 months later, was customer service. So someone where all they did was answer emails. And so once I hired those two people, of course, when I was able to focus on more money-making activities, that's in December. I actually, you know what? I'd hit it a few months earlier. So I hadn't even realized I hit $1 million until December. I was a part of e-commerce Fuel, and they had these flares that you could put beside your username. And I was like, well, I let me go check to see how much I make. And this time I'd already flipped over to Shopify in 2015. And I was like, let me go, I ran my reports, which, I couldn't have done in Big Cartel, which is why I moved over to Shopify. I ran the reports and it said I was like at 1.1 million, something like that. And I was like, whoa. When did that happen?
Yeah, that 2 comma club is probably and as an entrepreneur hitting that is usually like, you want to give yourself a pat on the back, and then you're just like, what's the next step from here?
Well, the funny thing is because I didn't start the business to make money. I just started to solve my own problem. And then it just happened to make some money. So I wasn't really too focused on the money. I knew it was making money. Right. I knew I could, I took some money. I bought a house. I renovated my basement so I could run the business out of my basement. So I knew it was doing well, but I didn't know how well.
Well, it's definitely doing well now. So let's fast forward a bit, and now you're running the business. It's been 7 years.
Yeah, it's 8 years, December. Yeah.
All right. So what's the business look like these days? What are those profitable, time-consuming activities that you're doing as an owner to push the business forward? Everyone always likes to ask, like, what's working now in marketing? If they need some ideas and stuff. Obviously, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is next week. This won't come out until probably January, though. But people would probably be curious of what type of sales you might have been running then. Anything you want to share about what's happening now?
What's happening now, Chase, if I have to be absolutely not honest, it's a hot mess.
Oh, yeah?
It is a hot mess.
Hey, this is honest e-commerce, and I love it when people are honest.
This is it, because I'm not here to tell you, oh, yeah, everything's, hunky-dory. No, the pandemic hurt my supply chain, because what I'm selling is human hair extensions. Like, it's human hair. So because this is a global pandemic, like, we got hit with it last November, except last November, we didn't know what it was. Right.
Yeah, there were just issues in the supply chain.
Exactly. And then lo and behold, February, then we found out, what was really happening. And then by the time it hit us here, we'd shut everything down. So I want to say that 2020, especially for Kinky Curly Yaki, was really the year of just keeping it afloat. And it also gave me the time, because, with growing a business and scaling a business, you're just running after. Sometimes when things go well, you're running after it. So you don't really have time to plan. You don't have time to strategize. You're just reacting.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I've taken 2020 to sort of take a step back and be like, okay, so what's not been working in this business? What SKUs can I eliminate? How can I simplify this? How can I bring this back to 2012? Because what I started to find is once I started to grow, to push towards 2 million, it started to become something that I didn't enjoy, because then it became, what happened was a lot of competitors started to enter the space because I was the pioneer. I created the niche. So a lot of competitors, which were really the manufacturers of the product over in China, started doing direct to consumer too. So they were doing things faster and cheaper and, innovating faster than I could. But what they didn't have was my brand story.
Yeah.
I am the customer. I get high on my own supply. They can't beat me. I can tell you, okay, the hair, even though, you can compare my product to something you found on AliExpress or even Amazon. But I know how the hair is supposed to act because I am the hair. That stuff grows out of my head. I know how it's supposed to act. They can't. They have to rely on customer feedback in order to grow or even in order to innovate. Right.
Absolutely.
And so then this sort of gave me the opportunity to, and especially with, the other pandemic, which is Black Lives Matter. Right. So now it gave me a chance to really focus on the brand story and tell people why I started the business. Yeah, you can go and buy the same product on Amazon for $25, but you're actually supporting a real Black owned business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's honestly, that's what I've taken 2020. That's what I've taken the time in 2020 to do. 2021, I want to hit the ground running. I'm introducing some new products. I'm going to get on the TikToks. I'm going to, and you know what? I need to bring in younger people to do it because I'm about to turn 43. And honestly, I'm looking at TikTok and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I cannot keep up. Right.
It's the same strategy as the vlogging, as the Instagram. It's just, it's recycled. And you know what?
Yep.
I think at this point, it probably should be someone else's job because you need to focus on, I forget where I heard this, but there's that $1,000 an hour activity. And then there's everything else less than it. And as an owner, as a founder, as a CEO, however you like to title yourself, you should be focused on that $1,000 an hour activity, and everything else you should systemize and productize and get off your plate.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, also this year, I guess this has been happening throughout the growth of the brand, but you've been moving more into education and helping other brand owners. Would you like to share some more about that?
Yeah. Well, when the pandemic hit, of course, because our supply chain got hit, I wanted to feel productive. I wanted to feel like I could make a difference in people's lives outside of, making Black women feel good about, showing up as they are in the world. And I was like, well, how can I help people? I love to teach. And I thought, look, there's all these companies now, all these brick and mortars who need to get online really quickly. So who best to help them but someone who's actually done it, who's built a business from zero and knows, not only, e-commerce, but just knows entrepreneurship, period. And I love to do it. I'm passionate about it. So that's what I started doing. I started teaching people how to bring their businesses online. One woman I can think of in particular, she had opened up a kids play space. Well, we're not doing that anymore. So what do? I helped her pivot online. So now she's selling, products for kids that spark joy, or even the nail salon that no longer can do, they can do it now, but at the time they couldn't do nails. So I helped them get online and start selling mani and pedi kits. That's what I spent the bulk of 2020 doing, is helping, I can't control supply chain, but I can control my reaction. And I chose to, instead of wallowing, I chose to help people.
Chose to be productive, and that's the best way. And the world's in a crazy place, and I feel being productive and being busy is a great way to kind of when you're focusing, all that stuff isn't creeping into your mind as much.
Yeah, that too.
Sometimes it's a welcome distraction. I've read more books this year than I think I've read in my life. So it's been a good year for education, self-education. So are you still doing that? Where do people go if they're interested in kind of learning more about maybe you helping them out with getting online and on all that whole entrepreneurship stuff?
Yeah, you can go to learnwithviv.com. So I just ended cohort 2 of Shopify Prep School. So that's something, it's a series of live workshops where I walk with you and set up the essentials to getting your Shopify up and running. And so, of course, if you want to learn from someone who's actually done it, and I'm not interested in, dealing with drop shipping. No, I'm looking for people who are selling tangible products that they're passionate about. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can go to Learn with Viv. But yeah, that's what I'm currently doing.
Awesome. Well, was there anything that I forgot to ask you about today that you want to share with the audience before we go?
I just want to remind people, especially if you're just starting out, to just start small. Right? Don't be afraid to start small. Start where you are. Start with what you have. You don't need to go big or go home or, any of that. You just need to start, and you just need to start with one product. You don't need a whole suite of products. You don't need, to spend millions of dollars. You're not starting a bank. You're starting an e-commerce biz, right? So start small. Start with that one product. Make sure you're solving a problem, because the last thing we need are more e-commerce businesses, selling things that nobody needs. Make sure people need it. Make sure you're solving a problem.
Yeah, I always refer to it as sometimes when people are starting internet bodegas, it's like, we don't need that. You know what I mean? I need a bodega for the convenience factor. I'm not going to order this weird thing from you when I can go get it down the street.
Right. So start small. Just just start, right? And do it your way. Don't be afraid to be yourself, because one of the things that I found out, in my business is that, like you said, people don't buy products, they buy people. So even if you're selling the same thing as, something you saw on Amazon, no one can sell it the way you can. No one has the same experiences. No one can put the same spin on it. So don't be afraid to put your full ass into it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If there's competition already, then there's a market. So there's people that will buy your product. So focus on that.
Find the gap.
Awesome. Vivian, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You are absolutely welcome. Thanks for having me.
I cannot thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their journey and knowledge with us today. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our businesses. Links and more information will be available in the show notes as well. If anything in this podcast resonated with you and your business, feel free to reach out and learn more at electriceye.io/connect. Also, make sure you subscribe and leave an amazing review. Thank you.